Hello guys, and welcome to my video on how to use the Heartland solar calculator. My name is John Kirkfold. I am a software developer for Heartland Consumer Powers District, and this is an application that we made to help our customers and anyone in the United States who wants to install solar panels understand how much they'll get for their solar panels and how long it will take them to repay. So anyway, this is the calculator. This is the beginning page, and so you're probably wondering how you get to this page. So I'll just exit out of here. So first, what you want to do is you want to go onto your computer. I'm on my Mac, but you can use your PC. You can use a smartphone. You can use an iPhone, Android, or you can use a tablet. As long as you have a web browser, that should work. So I use Safari, so open that up. This will also work on Chrome, but scroll on over to Google or Bing or whatever search engine you use and type in Heartland Consumer Powers District. All right. So then click on the HPCD page. It should be the first one that comes up. And now we're in the Heartland website. So from here, we just go to About Us, go down to Power Supply, click on that. And now we scroll on down to Heartland Solar Calculator. So there are two calculators we created. One is a utility calculator, one's a retail calculator. Which one should you use? Well, if you're a utility, then you know it. Otherwise, if you're just a regular homeowner or property owner and you want to install solar panels on your house or property, then just click the retail one. All right, fantastic. So here we are. This is the Heartland Consumer Power District Retail Solar Calculator. This will help determine your payback savings when adding a solar array to your home. Okay, so if you want to find out any information, we have an About page, a Help page, and a Contact page. But we'll just go ahead and get started. So click on that. Okay, so first some information about us. What state do you reside in? Well, once again, this works in any state in the United States along with the District of Columbia. So for me, I live in South Dakota, so I will click on that. All right, and as you can see, it has been updated to say that our average retail rate is 11 cents 0.57. And you can change that if you like. If you know your actual rate, maybe it's a bit higher or a bit lower, you can go ahead and do that. So let's just continue. All right, so this is where you can change it. Let's say you have a bit of a higher rate. Maybe it's 14 cents or maybe it's 9 cents. You can enter that in. But for me, I don't actually know my retail rate, so I'm just going to go ahead and stick with that standard default value. All right, so now we want to find out some more about our usage, and so it's going to ask us, we could either enter in the last 12 months of usage or enter in a bill. So if we enter in the last 12 months, as you can see, this is going to give us the most accurate estimate because how much profit you make from it depends on how much energy you use. So, January, you're going to have a lot more sunlight or a lot less sunlight than, say, in June. So this stuff matters. So if you know how much energy you use every single month, then you can just enter that in. However, if you don't, then don't freak out. We can just go ahead and go back, and we can just enter in a bill, which is a lot easier. And so that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. So my bill is, I pay about $200 a month, pretty small home, and I have a service charge of about $75. That sounds about right. Okay, so now let's go to solar information. All right, now let's find out how much you're going to pay for your solar panels. You could either enter in a quote or you could enter in a budget. So let's see what the quote asks. Well, what is the size of our array? Do we know that? If you don't know that, that's fine. What is the cost of the installation? So if you have maybe an estimate, maybe a company has come up to you and said, hey, we're going to build you this size of array for this much, then you can enter that. And you can also enter in a state tax credit if your state has one, and then click calculate savings. I do not have a quote. I have a budget, so I'm going to go back here and I'm going to enter my budget. All right, so how much am I expecting to pay for the solar project? Well, I got my tax return back and I got about $5,000. So that is kind of what I am looking at to pay back. So now I can click here and I can get a max size. So we have estimated that we're going to have a max size of 1.47 kilowatts. Now, if that seems a bit low or a bit high, we can look down here and see that we are using an estimate of $3.40 a watt. So maybe our Lord and Savior Elon Musk comes around and makes some cheaper solar panels in the future. Well, we can go ahead and we can change that. And let's say Elon Musk brought it back down to $3. We can enter that in And as you can see, it gets updated up here. Now we have a much larger array size. Anyway, so let's go down here and let's calculate the savings. All right, and look at that. So we're getting an estimated solar payback time of 19 years. Well, let's look down here and see what that means. The color of the payback years is used to signify the likelihood of being able to pay off your solar array based on an average lifespan of 20 years. Blue means likely, orange means possible, and red means unlikely. So here at Heartland, we estimate an average lifespan of 20 years for solar panels. So we use color to indicate, how likely you're able to pay that off. And so, blue means you're more than likely to pay it off, and red means you're unlikely. And as you can see, we are in the orange. We're pretty close to that 20 years. So it's sort of up to you to make sure, is that a worthwhile investment for you? We go down here and we have a bit more numbers. We have an annual bill reduction, annual neg return, annual total return, annual generation, annual usage, and annual negation. So you're probably asking me what those mean, and I don't know either. So we added these click functions, so you can click them, and you get a bit more definitions for each of them, and it kind of explains what those all mean. Very cool. And we also have a question here, so if you click on that, you're going to get a bit more information about the net excess generation. All right, very neat. So now we have another functionality. If we want to find what the optimal size is, we know that for our array size, we're going to have a solar payback of 19 years. But what would the best time be for that? If we maybe made it a bit smaller, a bit larger, what would be the optimal time to be able to pay it off? Well, we made a function for that. So you go ahead and click that. And just so you know, this function does take a while. If it maybe takes a minute or two, don't worry about it. Just leave it there for your computer. This runs through this calculation multiple times to find the optimal size. So that should not be an issue at all. Just weigh it out, especially if there's a lot of people using this site. It can take a while. This is a very demanding function. All right, and as you can see, it has brought us back, and it's saying that at a size of 0.1 kilowatts, which is the lowest one, that is going to be optimal size. And it looks like we're in the blue, which means that if we had an array size of this, then we would be likely to pay it off. Now, I don't necessarily want an array size of 0.1. That might be what you're thinking. Maybe you want something a bit bigger, a bit smaller. Well, you can go along here and look at this graph, and it gives us a bunch of different readings, and we can tell, maybe we want an array size of 1 kilowatt hour. Well, we can scroll it over here, and we can see that the payback will be 17 years. Very cool. And we can go down here, and we can compare this to our previous one, which was a 1.67 kilowatt size. And we had a payback of 19 years. So we can compare that and, make our decision like that. Well, you're probably wondering, this is great that it spits out all these numbers, but where does it come from? What does that all mean? Well, if you're curious about where we get our numbers from, you can go to the About page at any time. And this kind of explains, where we are getting our numbers and data in order to find your payback time and your generation of profits from installing solar arrays. So we have different laws that we're using for states, different regulations and retails, and we have those all cited. You can see down here, this is about our daily usage. So when you enter it in your bill, this determines what your home load is. And as you can see, this is the curve. So there's a peak in the morning when you're maybe making breakfast and a peak at night when you're maybe making dinner. And then in the day when you're at work, it's probably going to be quite low. And this is how a solar generation curve looks like. So during noon and 1 o'clock, it's at its highest, and then it gets low and it shuts off during the nighttime. And then this is another generation. So this is each month. As you can see, in May, you're going to have a lot more sun than you will in December when you're in North America. And then we also have cloudy day generation. This is what the curve typically looks like on a cloudy day. You have a bit less power when there's clouds out. And every single month has a different amount of cloudy days. And we take into account for that. We run through every single month to find out exactly how much generation you'll get each month. And then down here, it's all the state regulations. So you can see if your state has net metering. If you don't know what that is, we have a health page as well, and that can determine. But you can read down here. We can look at South Dakota, and we could see, what the average rate is if we have net metering, our scale factor, which is how much sunlight you get in your state, along with, what your over generation is sold at. So it's sold at avoided cost in South Dakota, and your state where you live may vary. So if you wonder what any of that means, you can go up here and you can click help at any point, and this this will run down how the calculator works, kind of show you what I've been showing you, each step to run through, and along with the definition, so you can see what avoided cost is, what the tax credit means, and the service charge, and net meter, and all that. And if you continue to have any more questions, we have a contact page. Feel free to contact us. We have a P.O. box, a phone number, and we have more information on our website. Well, that is it. We're really excited. This was a lot of work to put in place, and I'm really proud of it, how it turned out. So I appreciate you guys watching. Have a nice day.